All right, so obviously the John Wick trailer and reveal finally came to light. We finally were able to see it, and there was a lot of cool stuff. If I'm being honest, it looks really good. The music looks awesome. The direction looks great, and I'm very, very excited. And obviously here on the channel, it seems like a lot of you guys are excited as well. A lot of positive comments, a lot of things to look forward to. And I decided to slow down the trailer quite a bit and look at it a few times and see if there was anything that I noticed or anything that maybe some of you guys missed or some stuff that I missed the first time around. Because when state of plays or things like that happen, I'm so focused on seeing so many different games that I only watch the trailer like once and I don't really get to see and try to find every little detail. And I thought for this John Wick game, since it's something new, we're going to dive into a brand new world with John Wick. I thought there was some stuff that would be interesting for us to look at. So that's what we're going to do today. And we slowed it down. There was a few things that I caught that I think will be a part of the overall experience of John Wick, the video game. So we're going to go over them, talk a little bit about them, and then maybe you guys can let me know down in the comments if there's any stuff that I missed or any stuff that you guys noticed that you think will be a part of the game. So for the first thing, obviously, I noticed the Continental. The Continental, you guys know what it is. I don't got to explain it to you, but I noticed that John Wick was probably getting fitted inside of the Continental. So since I saw the Continental in the cinematic trailer, I feel that that is going to be an enterable space where you can get gear, where you can get weapons, where you can go to a gun room, where you can have your own room, where you can find clothes, where you could get cars. And I noticed that they put a little emphasis on the watch. So maybe you're also going to have like a little section to choose different watches. And that might be one of the little things that you can do in John Wick. Maybe they're sponsored by, or they have a big deal with some watch brand and they have like exclusive watches there. So I think that type of stuff will be incorporated in the game because of the name John Wick, because of the license and it being so big, and some of the sponsorships or partnerships that they have, they're probably going to be integrated inside of the game with watches or weapons or things like that, maybe even suit names. So I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff to do, and I think the Continental will be a place where you can enter, relax, talk, chill, gear up, and I think it's going to be like a home hub or something like that. And if you go to different areas, we don't know where the game is going to take place in, but if you go to different areas, there might be different Continentals throughout the different areas, and they all are going to kind of have your gear and your stuff, and I think that'll be really fucking cool. Something else that I noticed is the hand-to-hand combat is going to be a lot of that. It's going to be very heavily leaned into the kung fu, gun fu type of stuff, and I think that's very interesting because it takes a different approach to some of the games that we've seen, that are like kind of, crime games or stuff like that. Like when I think of a game like this, I think maybe sometimes like GTA or Max Payne or, something like that. And their combat, although it's good, is not the best. But if we remember a game that had really good combat, like hand-to-hand combat, Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs had amazing fucking combat. And I think Sleeping Dogs can give you like a taste of what potentially the John Wick combat is going to look like. Like very hand-to-hand, taking guys down. Like in Sleeping Dogs, you could just take them down and punch them on the ground. You might be able to be doing that in John Wick too. So I think the hand-to-hand combat is going to be very, very interesting. I also noticed that there's going to be interactive environments. We see John Wick grab a pan and then just pop somebody right upside the head. Other things that I noticed he does is, pick up some chopsticks and stab somebody. So like, I think if you're fighting in an environment, say like a kitchen or something, and you see a lot of stuff around the kitchen, you could probably grab a pan, you could probably grab a plate, you could probably grab something and throw it at them. So I think the environments that you're in are going to be breakable or something like that. So I guess that kind of brings it into the next part. I also saw breakable environments. I saw John Wick kick somebody through a door. I saw John Wick grab somebody and slam his head through a car window. I saw John Wick grab somebody and throw his head into a glass case. So that type of like combat where you have interactive environments, breakable environments, that type of stuff is going to be incorporated in the game as well. So those are just a few little things that I noticed during the trailer, and I think that's going to be really cool because, it makes the combat enjoyable and it makes it different. Maybe in one mission, I decide to beat somebody's ass just straight up hand to hand so I can show him what the fuck the Baba Yaga can do. And then in another one, I might say, all right, let me whoop his ass with some chopsticks and throw his ass somewhere and fuck him up and scare people. Like, you could choose how violent and how crazy you want to get. So I really, really like that. It adds variety. It adds something different to the game. I also noticed that the clothes that John Wick wears is going to be bulletproof. In the cinematic, you see John Wick shooting somebody, and then as they shoot him, he like kind of grabs his arm and covers himself, and he takes the bullets. So obviously, in the world of John Wick, throughout the movies, his suits are like bulletproof. Like you can shoot them. It takes a lot for them to get penetrated. So I think in the game, your clothes and your suits and stuff are also going to be. That adds an interesting dynamic because if there's a firefight, maybe you can run towards the firefight a little bit crazier than you would in another game. Of course, you're still going to have to cover yourself. Of course, you can still get hit in the face. Of course, your suit can still get penetrated, but it's gonna take some more time. Maybe to the side you have like your suit, and the more it gets shot, the more it gets, the lifespan of the suit like comes down and down just like a little bit. So maybe that's like an interesting thing that you can have to have in the game, or you're gonna have to manage your suit strength throughout the game, something like that. I think that's interesting. I also noticed that John Wick grabs his gun, like his actual gun that he's using, and if he runs out of bullets, he can throw it at somebody and then tackle them, which I thought was a cool feature. I think you'll be able to throw your guns, maybe your assault rifles, your shotguns, anything that you're using as on your person, you could probably just throw. The tackle feature, like I said, is also something else that I noticed. John Wick ran towards somebody, tackled him, broke some staircases, and just went straight down. So I think there'll be a feature where you can run towards an enemy and actually tackle him to the ground, beat his ass, boom, boom, take out your weapon, shoot him. Like, I think the variety in the way you're going to be able to fight in this game is going to be some of the best that we've ever seen in video games. I really do. John Wick, in general, the films really pushed the envelope and reinvented the genre that they were in by trying so many different things and by making the combat feel so good and different. And I think that in the video game world, they're going to try to achieve something very similar to say, yes, this is the new standard or something like that, or this is what separates us from your average video game. I also noticed the takedown option or the takedown action. John Wick seems to grab a lot of people by their neck, throw them on the ground, and then punch them. There's definitely, I think, going to be a button that you're able to press to grab them and then throw them on the ground, grab them and throw them on the ground. I think that's something very cool too, because you're killing, the way you kill them is going to be very varied. You could either shoot them and then throw them on the ground, or throw them on the ground, shoot them a few times, kick somebody else, go back to him, shoot him, like a lot of cool shit like that. And then one thing that I did notice that seemed a little bit different is that John Wick, a lot of the times throughout the trailer, grabbed somebody in like a chokehold, pulled out a weapon and shot him while he had them in the chokehold. So this might be like a new feature or something like that as well, where you can grab the enemy that you have and shoot them, grab somebody else, shoot them. And so it's like maybe you can hold them and then take out your weapon and give them a kill shot. It just is very varied. Like the combat seems to be very freaking varied. So much stuff that we can do. And then one thing that I will mention that isn't mentioned or you can't see in the trailer, but in the PlayStation blog, the creative director for John Wick talked about the driving. So there's going to be driving in the game as well. There might be car chases. There might be, different cars that you're able to get into, try out, and stuff like that. So that's going to be very cool, because the creative director did say that the driving experiences in the game are going to be very epic as well. So driving is going to be a part of John Wick 2. So there's a lot of really cool shit. And one thing that I do wonder, now this is definitely far-fetched maybe, and we don't need it. I mean, we're let's not ask for the world here. But what if he has like, I'll mention it, but it might not work. It's like having like a pet. Like what if we have a pit bull or a dog or something like that, and we can have him attack while he's with us. But unless the game takes place in between the movies, then it would work. But if it takes place beforehand, probably not, because there was never any mention really of him having any animals or pets with him or things like that. So that probably wouldn't work. So yeah, that's basically what I have in the John Wick things you may have missed. Is there anything that you guys noticed that I didn't mention here? Please let me know down in the comments below. This game is ramping up to be a fantastic title, and I cannot wait to see more.